So, welcome. I want to speak about today about elevation and how you can elevate yourself to the next level within your own consciousness and your own spiritual self and your daily life. So, stay tuned. I'll speak to you soon. So welcome back. My name is Matt. I'm from Karnak Holistics, where we learn together and we grow together in the sight of God. So today I want to speak about elevation. Now, elevation is what you become and how you begin to move from one plateau to the next. Now, there's been so many times where I've seen myself in this scenario where I'm just living and existing because I'm seeking permission from other people. And when I'm seeking permission from other people, that does not help me to transcend to my next level in life. And one thing I realized what has been my problem is that I have not been turning to one important source. Not for a while, but I've realized why I felt I have been stuck. Now, let me just kind of evaluate something here. Business-wise, I've been doing really well. I'm happy with my life. Things are really developing and I'm moving forward and I'm existing and everything is happening. But I don't feel like I am getting full within myself. So, what has been my problem? My problem is that I've not been hearing and talking to God as much as I should. And when in the days when I first came out of the hospital, let me just go back to them times. 10 years ago, I had a heart attack and a stroke. Let me go back a bit further. 2009, I lost my job. Broke up with my then partner of 19 years. Moved out of the home and then ended up sofa surfing for about 6 months. Then I tried to get a new job, which was tough. I was homeless. And then I became ill. I just wasn't feeling right myself. I was always being sick and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I managed to, find somewhere to stay. And then I found a job and I thought life was on the up. Then I just didn't feel right in myself. So, long story short, I went to see my GP and she, just by sheer blessing of God, because I felt this burning ambition from God to say, go and see your GP, but don't take no for an answer. So anyway, I went to see my GP. He wasn't there. I managed to see someone else. Her name was Philippa. She was the doctor that saved my life in my eyes, because she's the one who done a check on my heart, check to see how my heart is performing, and gave me the once over because I was just constantly being sick and I was like throwing up white mucus. Anyway, she phoned me within 2 days and said, you need to get yourself to hospital. By then I was like shitting myself really, and I didn't know what was going on. I said to God, look, I don't know how I'm going to cope with this. I don't know what she's talking about. I said, well, you know what, I'll go tomorrow. She said, no, you need to go now. She said, I think you've got an enlarged heart. I phoned the hospital. I've told them you're on your way. And now it was like 7:30, half seven, in a week, on a weekday. So anyway, I drove over to the hospital and I actually met my oldest son, Jordan, and we went to the hospital and went in there and I never came out. I stayed there for about a year. They found I had an enlarged heart where my heart was just all sludgy and it wasn't pumping. Basically, I was pumping more water than blood. I was seriously ill. I was getting grey, and then I put on loads of weight. And the other thing is that my feet swelled 3 times the size. I couldn't put shoes on. And it felt like I was walking on hot coals. It was sheer hell. And at that time, I've never felt so alone in my life, ever. But then I turned to God, and I was like, I'm scared. I don't know if it was fear of dying or fear of facing this challenge with health. So, I went to hospital, they kept me in, and they done tests, they gave me water tablets, and every minute I was back and forth to the loo because it was losing the water retention that was on my body. And I could tell you, once I finally started losing the water retention on my body, my feet it's like bliss. It was just amazing. And then they kept me in for a while, then they done their tests. My son went home, and I was on a ward. Actually, I was in a private room. And I remember seeing her that night, and just crying, just sobbing, and going, you know what? I've had all these people around me, and remember, this was 10 years ago, and it was 2011. And I was still someone who was doing platform. I was still doing mediumship. I was still changing lives, if you want to call it. But I forgot about my own life. And I just remember just be sitting in that room, just looking at the walls and saying, you know what? I had a choice whether to fight it or to give in. Then they moved me to the cubicle and had all these machines on me where I couldn't literally go loose, so I wasn't allowed to move anywhere. Then I had to go for a pacemaker to be fitted or defib, and that was several weeks later. Well, that was about a week later after they did tests, because they had to stabilize me. And I still remember seeing people coming and going, visiting people, and some people wouldn't come and visit me for whatever reason. And I was going through the anger process, but the whole time I sat there in that room, in that cubicle, and I could feel the presence of God. And I remember I had my Bible with me at this point, and I remember reading Psalm 23, which I read at both my parents' funerals. And the ones that still stuck with me was, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for the Lord is with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. And I honestly believe, and I honestly know, that he was my shepherd at that time, and I was just a lamb. And I refused to go to the slaughter. Something changed inside me. Something died inside me that day. And through that time, I refused to let death beat me. I refused to say that I'm going to be a circumstance, but I wanted to say I am a child of God. I'm his general. I would stand in his name and face people based upon what he wants me to do. Several years later, actually, about a year later, I was then released from hospital. I went into a bed and breakfast, and again, sitting in that room, I was looking at the bed that I was in. It was a bed set, and it was one of these studio rooms. And I guess I was lucky to have that. But remember, I was still quite vulnerable because I was still in recovery. And I remember looking at the bed, and the bed was moving. And you probably think, what the hell? The bed was moving. It had little black dots in it. It had fleas on it. And straight away, I had to get in touch with these people, the site, who owned the site, who looked after the properties. They had to come out and change the bed and everything. I had to sleep, obviously, there because I had nowhere else to go. And then, so what I decided to do, it was about a month later, I said, I need to do something in my life. And between going to get my food and going to do my washing and getting healthy again, I thought 6 months into it, 2011, later on, then I decided to study counselling and go back to college. No income, monetary income, apart from just really benefits. I suppose a positive thing about it, I couldn't go anywhere because I was too ill to go anywhere. It was literally paying for my travel to college and travel back. But I remember sitting there going to God, like, what am I going to do? I need to rebuild my life again. The kids are not about. I'm pretty much on my own. I'd had contact with my brother and my best friend, but I was still alone. So I remember there was a part in the Bible where it says, where I think it was in Genesis, when he says, when I think God's talking about Cain, and I remember this recently because I've read it recently, but back then is what I remember it being saying in relation to what I was going through, where it says, I've got the mark of God and no one shall harm me, and go out into the wilderness and go forth and multiply and do my work. And I still remember having his mark upon me. I know that I was always blessed and I wasn't alone. So anyway, so after that, I got well, got a job, didn't have good times. Then I started this job and I was just constantly under attack from a certain person being racist, ageist, because I was younger, and it was sheer hell. And the times I used to come home to my bedsit really alone and upset and just basically wanted to end it, but I refused to let that happen. And I remember God saying to me, you're not going to let this circumstance beat you. And it didn't. And then after that, fast forward, I left there, was the best thing I could do. Then I joined a charity helping people find employment, and then now moving to the NHS. So now within myself, my faith is my biggest key. I have people who I work with when I do work with Karnak and I'm doing my shamanic work that don't know me from Adam, to be honest. But when they speak to me and I kind of say, look, this is where I'm from. There is no pressure for me to help you. You need to make sure this is right for you. You need to let it seep within inside you. And all the work I do is through God himself. So I can't therefore tell you what is best for you or what the outcome's going to be. But my faith is so strong. And I used to do, when someone puts a spell on somebody, I used to protect that person and then send the spell or the spell back to where the source come from. And I was pretty good at it, and I still am. But it got to a point is where spiritually I needed more as a person, as a being, as a living being. And I know that, as God says, I help those who help themselves. So if I just sit there waiting for it to be done, and don't get me wrong, because there's a part of why I always say, I don't do things with my own strength. I turn to the Almighty and say, look, is this what you want me to do? And then I do his work. Then I wait for the next time for it to come about. And then I carry on with it that way. So I could spend up to 6 months or even a month or a couple of weeks working on this project, so to speak, developing it, getting it up and running, getting it moving, getting it having some big traction, getting moving forward, doing his work in order to make it happen. And I know some people don't see what I see, and that's fine, because this is my dream. This is my dream. This is what I'm here for. This is what I've been given. And I say anybody out there that is lost, confused, and not sure what they want to do with their life, and they just feel really alone, you need to get some faith. Find some faith. Find him, and he will find you. Seek him out. Trust me, 110%. I've been in such a low point in my life many times, and it's been pulled out. And you can find him through a church, through a temple, but make sure you are hearing his true, pure word, not somebody else's translation. When I talk and I give talks and I speak about my journey and I speak about other people's journey and the work I do, I talk about me or about my connection with God, and everyone's life is going to be different than mine is. So I just want you to know that this can just be a evidence, if you want to call it, an example of what you could achieve. And I'm happy with what I own. I have a nice car, I have a nice flat, got a nice fiance, I've got a good job, and everything is given to me because I honestly believe that. And if God decides to take it tomorrow, I know, or I lose whatever, I know something else will replace it that is probably better, because God always looks after his own. That's a fact. You can ask any spiritual person that. So anybody who's working in the light and they are saying that they are struggling through life, it's a fact that the journey is the important part of your transition, not arriving at your destination. The destination is the cherry on top of you eating that cake. And I remember one time I was meditating, I was in conference with God, and I said, look, I don't know what to do about a project I was working on for somebody. And he turned and said to me, look, if you was to go to, you're based in London, if you was to go to Manchester or to Birmingham or to Scotland, you don't just sit here and then you get there, do you? These things, and it's about things that happening. I wanted to know how quickly something would happen. So I said no, and he goes, what would you do? What will be your process of you getting to these places? And I said, well, basically, I'll get a train or I'll get a coach. And he goes, yeah, and then what? So I'll get on a coach and I'll go on a journey and then arrive at the place. He said, that's exactly it about what you've just asked me. And I said, what? He said, and he goes, not too smart, how are you? I goes, no, I think I know I understand what you're saying, and I know what you're telling me is that the journey, everything is not done overnight. There's a journey, and on that journey you see different things. You see the hills, the different shops, the different locations, the different stops on the way there, getting more petrol, meeting different people, but eventually you would arrive at Manchester, York, Birmingham, Scotland, so on and so forth. And I got that, and it's about the journey. And it's everything you do from my shamanic work, that when you're doing the healing or the removal or the binding or unbinding of something, there's a journey to it, a journey of it unbeing done, and nothing happens just like that. And anyone promises you that, I don't know, everyone works differently, but in my mind, everything is done on a journey of perfection. So right now in my mind, I kind of feel sorry for people who are constantly trying to disprove God does not exist. Faith is wrong. We cannot measure faith. So therefore, faith is not real. You know what? I don't fucking care what you believe. I don't care what you're doing. I know that I was in Shitville and I'm in Happyville, and faith got me there. Because if I didn't have faith, I'll be in a box. I know a little fucker who has some bloody white coat and some clipboard telling me I can't measure that. He's going to tell me that my journey is rubbish. That is utter bullshit. And anyone who wants to disrespect and say that journey, what I said I've been through, was just happenstance. It just happened. It's a process. They can go and fuck themselves at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, them little shits wasn't there. They don't know what it's like. And people who have been on that low point and found faith and achieved and moved forward and got the stuff that they wanted because they had faith and within themselves or in an entity or in God, they will know what I'm talking about. But these other little shits that turn around and point fingers and try to disrespect people like that can go and fuck themselves at the end of the day, in my mind. And hey, I don't feel no way about it. I really don't feel no way about it. As harsh as it sounds, and as harsh as you never really hear me swear, or curse, but at the end of the day, I'm just real. I am who I am. And you don't like it, I don't care. It just doesn't matter. I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself. I'm here to help you empower yourself, for you to be better than you are. For you not to just feel, everything's light and fluffy and everything's going to be okay. That's just called illusion. I'm here to really drill down, get to the root of the problem, get you to deal with the shit that's happening in your life, for you to overcome it and for you to manage it, and not me to fix the effects or me to fix the root cause, and for us to work together for you to find and fix that root cause. If you're not ready for that journey, then don't call me. If you are, I'm here. So for me, a lot of people I work with, they see, I don't say it's a quick fix, and I don't come and say, yeah, in 2 days you're going to be this, in 2 days. I don't bloody know. But all I can say to you is that there's going to be a journey, and you need to stop stressing about it. You just need to just work with the scenario, work with what you have, embrace what you have, have gratitude for what you have around you. The sofa that I'm sitting on, the clothes that I have, my pendants that I wear, my rings that I have, which everything means something, either spiritual or emotional. This camera that I'm talking to you on, the people I interact with, my sight, my mouth, my words, my tongue, my mouth, my throat. All these things are kept together for a purpose, and I'm happy and so blessed for it. And I owe that to nobody else on this planet but to God. Nobody else. Nobody else. Because without him finding that doctor for me to be treated, finding that nurse for me to look after, and I had amazing nurses and amazing heart failure nurses, two amazing heart failure nurses. And I found amazing GPs that I've been working with. And the ones that I didn't get on with, that didn't know shit, he removed them straight away. No way. Because I know once I'm vibrating on a certain level, I know that these entities need to be on the same vibration as me, or it just isn't happening. And if you can't vibrate on that level, I don't have time for that. I really do not have time to sugarcoat shit for you to turn around and find your way there, because you're to want me to help you realize what is true and what is not. Man up and get on with it in reality and deal with it. You know. And I'm sick and tired of dealing with skinwalkers, people that are just lost, just out there and just I just don't have time for that. I really do not have time for that. You know, if you want to find your purpose, I'll help you find your purpose. I'm not into the short purpose, non-purpose, and all that stuff. I'm into you finding purpose. As tough as it may sound, because I'm talking the way I was spoken to. You know, don't sit on the sidelines and wait for stuff to come to you. Get off your butt and go and get it, and we will help you find it. You know, though I walk through the valley or the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. I have to walk through the valley, not sit on a bus or sit waiting for the valley to come and for me to slowly move forward. I have to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I'll fear no evil. Because as I walk through the valley, there will be people and things that are trying to dismay me. And for the rod thy staff will comfort me all the days of my life, and I will dwell within the house of the Lord. The journey, as I walk through the valley, thy rod, thy staff. The rod and a staff. The rod is protection, the staff is guidance, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. I would arrive at my destination, as I said, from London to Manchester, or Glasgow, or York, or to Scotland. And the other part of Psalm 23 I wanted to just quickly say is about people disrespecting you or disrespecting me about faith, right? Because there's part in it in Psalm 23 where it says, I prepare a table before my enemies. He anoints my head with oil and my cup overflows. So basically what God's saying, you sit with me, I'll invite your enemies to dinner, and you be anointed, and you will humiliate those who disrespect you. And those ones who disrespect you will be coming running to you for help, as many did when I first started out all those years ago, 15, 20 years ago, who mocked me, who laughed at me, but said, oh, he's bloody wacko. Now are asking for me to come and help them. I have people of my non-race want me to remove shit that people have done to them in their own race. You know, so explain that one. Prepare a table before my enemies. Anoint my head of oil, the cup overflows. There you go. You know, and at the end of the day, I just pray you find safety, knowledge, and guidance, and try and find your way forward, because it's all about transformation. So I want to end this video here, and I hope that's helped. And I beseech you, Spoon, stay safe, stay blessed, and namaste.